hear so much about the perils of technology for mental health, right? Like doom scrolling and social media compared to despair and all of that. So we can touch for a moment if you have any thoughts on that in terms of like technology and how it may or may not be fraught for mental health, and also where you see October Health coming in to disrupt that. And then from there, going on to how October Health utilizes technology to instead support and empower mental health and performance and well-being.
Yeah, so, I think there's, Pandora's box being opened over there talking about, social media and tech and mental health. I think, unfortunately, if you look at the statistics, social media seems to be making things worse, not better. Where people compare themselves to others, and we've got this unrealistic vision of what perfect life should be, where it's very far removed from reality in most cases, and people are comparing themselves or being petty online, and it's a scary world at the moment in social media. And I think you can also go down negative rabbit holes depending on where you look and what you're looking for, starting off with good intent in mind. So what we set out to do was, how do we create a positive space, right, where it's judgment-free, it's safe, you can go and share and learn and grow together. And I think that's really the intent behind what we're trying to do. If I do take a step back and, touching on some of those earlier statistics, then it's estimated as much as 122 million Americans live in areas where there is a designated shortage of mental health professionals. So I think what is required, and obviously it needs to be done safely, we need to find new ways to provide care to people, because you've got this issue where there are not enough mental health professionals to move through the system. Already today, I think it's if you take every kind of qualified mental health professional in the system, everything from psychiatric nurses to psychiatrists, one professional 320 Americans. So that's getting worse over time because there are just fewer professionals entering the system qualifying, and there are high rates of burnout in professionals. You can imagine they're dealing with very tough cases. It's difficult to take that on personally.
I have actually noticed that in my coaching program, I have had a lot of doctors, nurses, and therapists come through, and it really has pointed out to me that there is like a lack of support for the people who are in those caring positions. And so also like this idea of normalizing the conversation around supporting the people who are offering support also, I think, is an interesting idea.
Therapist needs a therapist.
Yeah, your therapist needs a therapist. Yeah. And, I feel like October Health is a technology that can offer that kind of support as well to the professionals in addition to the general public. I'll let you continue on. I did want to make one more point just about like, as you're talking about the statistics, I'm thinking about intentionality and like conscious consumption of technology. And it's really like how we use it, right? It's a tool and it can be used as a weapon or it can be used as like a healing instrument. And I love that you guys are really focusing on developing it as a healing modality.
Yeah, and that's definitely the intent. And I think, kind of building on that, ensuring that there are, safeguards and safety rails in place. As an example, if someone's engaging with one of our AI features and they express self-harm or harm to others, we'll direct them to, some form of crisis counseling. Because there are some things that AI are exceptional at doing, but there are other things that, at this point, it is not good enough to deal with those issues. So how can we direct them to that appropriate care through those guardrails? And that's something that we've been thinking about for right since we started on this journey, ensuring people are directed to the right type of care depending on the situation that they're dealing with. And again, another kind of use case for AI is this use case of triage, where, having a conversation with what you're feeling and, what you're struggling with. The AI can really start to understand that individual, again, as a result, direct that individual to appropriate care. so it can actually become something that is really, really valuable. And, even for people who are lucky to be in therapy on a weekly basis, and maybe to are more frequent than that, but in most cases, weekend therapy would be the max. Where do you go on either side of those sessions? And, in our world, it's all about, well, how do we give you access to live sessions on a daily basis? How do we give you access to an AI companion that's always there for you on either side of the session? And I know that feeling where you've had something happen that's a trigger and you need to reach out for support.
Right. There's so much coming up for me as you're sharing all that. Like, one thing being that when we're in a triggered state, it can be really difficult to lose that executive function, right? So maybe we know some skills, but we may have a hard time drawing on them. And if we've got that technology there to be like, I can't think straight, but here's a list of 5 things I can do, or 5 practices, a guided visualization or something that can help calm my nervous system, that's really powerful. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I am interested to hear more about the AI component as well. And I suppose with that, we can kind of go in this direction of, where do you see the future headed, both for October Health and with this conversation of the intersection of mental health and technology in general? And how does AI factor into that?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And again, just to build on your point earlier, that's exactly what we do. So the AI can be there and do exactly that. Well, firstly, are you in danger? If you're in danger, reach out immediately and get support. But if it's an urgent situation but not a dangerous situation, can we help calm that situation in real time, through a guided exercise or breathing or quick mindfulness. And just also having a friendly voice to say, that is a terrible thing that happened, but it's going to be okay, is often the comfort that people lack. I think we're lonelier than we've ever been, despite being more connected than we've ever been. So that companionship is really, really powerful, especially when people are feeling vulnerable. In terms of your question, where is AI going? I think the reality is that the technology is going to get improved. And we're already experimenting with an AI mental health partner, and that's pretty powerful. It's also maybe it's scary, but it's also really powerful, especially if you think about people, the cost to provide care. I think the cost to provide these type of services over time is going to come down. And if you think about that accessibility point, even if there are enough mental health professionals, a factor which we've actually failed to address as far as just the cost of treatment is expensive. So, maybe you have access in that there's someone close to you, but can you afford to pay for those services? Not always. So how can we make care more accessible leveraging technology? So I think that's something that's really exciting. I think something that we always used to say at Uber is that at Uber we used to speak about driverless cars, and the analogy that was always used was ATMs. What is an ATM? It's an automated teller machine. And how long have ATMs been around for? They've been around for a long time. And when ATMs first came to market, the fear was that, well, that means, tellers at a bank are going to disappear. And, there's still tellers today, obviously fewer, but this is not something that has happened overnight. And the world of banking has evolved. And the jobs that are kind of performed by humans at a bank have evolved. If you think about the world of driverless cars, it's similar. The future of driverless cars is going to be a combination of human-driven transport and autonomous. And if we look at the world of therapy, it's going to be a combination. And something which we've always said is, you want a professional to practice at the the top of their field. What do I mean by that? I've got young kids. Often if they're sick, we'll rush them to a pediatrician. Where the reality is you don't need to do that. You can probably take them to a nurse or at most a GP and deal with that issue. Where AI can come in is that those equivalent entry level issues like a cold can be dealt with really effectively with AI, and your more specialized or more complicated cases can also then be dealt with by professional, because it needs that focus and it needs that time and it needs that human connection. So I think, it's quite an exciting future. I think there's another element of data, right? Where imagine stepping into a therapy session and being able to share, your history, based on your conversations with your AI companion, with your therapist, so they can get deeper insights and then use that to provide you with better care. So I think if used responsibly, if used together with human care, it's an exciting future, and I think one where everyone is better off. I think, the world that we don't want to see is a world where, technology is kind of, banned, and we don't put guardrails in place for responsible use.
Right. Well, and I love that more optimistic interpretation, right? Like, there's so much fear mongering in the media of like AI is going to take all the jobs and this and that. And, what I'm hearing you say is it's really freeing us up to focus on the things that are more significant. Like I'm freed up of the mundane tasks so that I can focus on doing the things that are going to be the most high impact and are also going to be probably more fulfilling. And then that also translates into better mental health and well-being in general for people.
Sometimes you just need someone to talk to for 5 or 10 minutes, or that's not necessarily a friend, right? Somebody like outside of the situation. So having like an AI companion to kind of calm you down a bit, and just kind of work through what's going on in that moment. Maybe it doesn't take a therapist, maybe, because you're not going to be able to probably get a hold of that person anyway, right? Everything's scheduled and so, complicated. So I feel like that's a really good tool for people on the daily basis, right? For things that come up.
Right. And, I'm also thinking about like human bias and how we might not want to hurt each other's feelings, right? But the AI is going to be tactful, but it's also neutral.
And so you can tell the truth. I feel like you're going to tell the truth to that versus me maybe confiding in you. I'm going to soften it a bit. Like you can't handle it, or I don't want to divulge all the information. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. I'm thinking too about like what you were saying with this being more integrated with people's lives in general, because if you think about it, like you're not going to go to the gym for 1 hour a week and think that like you're super fit and have a super healthy lifestyle, right? And same thing, you're not going to go see a therapist once per week and think that's going to be sufficient, all you need for your mental health. It really does need to be a lifestyle. And it needs to be integrated. So I love that you're thinking about, bookending those therapy sessions, the other however many hours in a week, -1, right? And how this can really support people to have it be part of our everyday, because that's really important to have mental health and that conversation be part of the everyday lifestyle. Speaking of lifestyle, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about food, because we are a food show. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on the importance of food and nutrition and how that impacts mood and mental health. And then specifically, if you have noticed your nutritional choices impacting how you feel on any kind of consistent basis.
Yeah. So it's a great question, and it's actually something that we've seen, across the clients that we work with, and especially in these high pressure environments. One of the first things to go is diet, because you're under high pressure. It's often easier to opt for a pizza or a burger than it is a salad, and it's often a lot cheaper as well. So your diet goes, and then when your diet goes, your sleep starts to suffer. And when your sleep suffers, you probably forego fitness, or your activity levels decrease. And ultimately, your work performance will also suffer, right? Because you're just not sleeping as well as you should be or as you were before. And, there's a bit of a negative spiral that results. So what we developed was an AI dietitian, where when you sign up, you create your profile, your height, your weight, your medications, your allergies, chronic conditions that we should be aware of, what your goals are. Do you want to reduce your cholesterol levels? Do you want to increase your muscle mass? Whatever that may be. And then you have an AI dietitian in your pocket, and it's everything from advice on meals to what to pack for kids' lunches, to being able to snap a picture of your food and then giving receiving personalized insights? Is that in line with the goals that you've set? How can you make it healthier? Ideas around, quick meals on a budget, that AI dietitian, who we call Ivy, is always there for you.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think we need AI versions of Ashley and Liz on Dancing in the Kitchen.
Would be the avatars.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, and then music. Like, do you utilize music in any of the therapeutic modalities that are available on October Health? Has that been part of the conversation?
Yes, so we've got sleep sounds, meditation sounds, and focus sounds available for, I think I'm preaching to the choir here, the benefits of that. But yeah, it's so important. I think when people need to take that time out, I know on a personal level, like with my kids, with my wife, when the kids are, not regulated, I don't necessarily play them the sounds from October Health, but putting on a song that they like can immediately change the mood, and it's just so uplifting. So yeah, music is really, really good.
Amazing. Do you have a food or a recipe that you turn to that makes you feel good?
Mm-hmm.
I turn to Ivy just to get that personalized insight from October.
There you go. Love it. And tell us, do you dance in the kitchen?
Probably not in the kitchen. I think when we need to, chill out with the kids, we put on some music, and not in the kitchen. We're probably more in the living room.
Okay, well, I think we need a little dancing in the kitchen sesh with the fam, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
My kids don't dream of being YouTube creators, so they'd love that.
They've got all the TikTok dances down, that sort of thing. Awesome. Well, this has been a really wonderful conversation today, Alon. We really appreciate your time. I know you mentioned links earlier, but do you want to just give a shout out one more time where people can find October Health and where they should go if they're interested in learning more?
Sure. So if you want to download the free version of the app, just head to the App Store and search for October Health, 2 words. If you're interested in learning more, you can email us at help@october.health or hit our website, october.health, and you'll be able to find whatever you need there.
Amazing. Thank you for the work you are doing in the world. It matters and it's so important, and I'm just so grateful and happy to see it happening. So thank you for the impact that you're making.
And we look forward to the future of October Health.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Take care, Alon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.